Live from the new Life Center studios in Coconut Creek, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona, it's Nothing Worthwhile, giving you the latest news in pop culture, sports, entertainment, and professional wrestling. You know, all the crap you don't care about. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
After these messages.
You guys suck.
I am going to ruin wrestling for every fan, for every wrestler, for everyone. At WrestleMania, I make history by winning a 17th championship. And I finally force you to forget the name of the fun machine, jet flying, woo, Ric Flair. You will forever say the name John Cena.
What is the Declaration of Independence?
Hell if I know, y'all. They ain't teaching none of this.
In what month do we vote for the president?
Should know that. February.
Why did the colonists fight the British?
I don't know why y'all looking at me.
Know.
They want to free them?
Yes.
That's why?
Yeah, from who?
I don't know. Where do they want freedom from? Boston? I don't know if New Jersey is a state or a country. What is it? Is it a city? Is Canada a state?
We're back for another round of pop quiz on the beach, but this time we're in Jacksonville. We're going to see if people can answer the citizenship questions that immigrants have to answer to become a citizen in this country. Let's see how much they know.
I don't know. It just doesn't get better. I do love living alone. I don't ever want to be married again after him. Trust me. But I love my animals, and my lawyers were in cahoots with his lawyers. They had everything set up where they were cashing in on me. Yeah. Half of my settlement went to lawyers and back into the lawyer pot, and I ended up with hardly anything. I worked for 25 years for free, basically. And then the settlement that Terry got for fucking another friend's wife behind my back, yeah, he got $30 million for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how does that make you feel, right? It's really just not about the money, though. It's that I've given him the opportunity to try to make things right with my daughter and try to make things right with my son and help him. But yet he's just like, here's a little bone, here's this little chip, here's a little something for you. He treats everybody like they're his ex-wife. Here's a little cookie for you, here's a little cookie for you. Like, we mean nothing to him. I meant nothing to him, even though I earned a $20 million empire with him by I don't know what the fuck we got to first, 2007, whatever, 2007. We had like a $25 million empire. And when I met him, he was in a fucking piece of shit car, living in Minnesota with a roommate. He had no money. Okay, yeah, he was in the Rocky movie. Who knew where that would go? Who knew where that would go? Who knew? But, yeah, we hooked up before that, and then all of a sudden, it just ignited, right? So it wasn't after that, it was before that. But
to seek revenge against the powerful man who killed his father, he infiltrated an elite security team. But his cover was blown.
Sir, can you hear me? What's going on?
You stay with me, and you're staying alive.
Now,
find him and kill him.
He's the target.
Where is he?
Jean-Claude Van Damme with Maria Conchita Alonso and Peter Stormare.
He's a trained killer, one-man army.
When you don't know who to trust, kill them all. Kill them all.
Jacqueline Jewett. Julie Jerkoff. Forgive me, Kirkhoff.
Kill Whitey!
No!
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network Studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Damme It, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were...
How do I sound, Andrew? Do I sound okay to you?
I missed it.
Yeah, I know. Thank you to One Call Douglas. Welcome to Nothing Worthwhile, episode 141. It's been a while. On today's show, we are back on the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. Of course, you guys know we do a little show called Van Damme in honor of our guy, Jean-Claude Van Damme. On today's show, we will check out the latest Jean-Claude Van Damme movie franchise, Kill 'Em Alls, with Kill 'Em All and Kill 'Em All 2, currently on Netflix. I mean, is it really a franchise if nobody sees it?
Well, I know where you're going with that, but I mean, yes and no. It is if you want it to be. No, if you don't. No, of course not. Because the only people, if it's a franchise, if everybody's heard of it, but not everybody's seen it. Nobody who's nobody who hasn't seen Kill 'Em All is aware of Kill 'Em All. At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Yeah. Well, we follow Jean-Claude a bit closer than the average fan, so to speak, because we have a podcast about him. But
Right.
and we did see. I know we definitely watched the Kill 'Em All trailer. So listen, 2 movies straight to streaming for them, at least domestically here. We'll give you our thoughts about that. We'll span the universe and give you the latest news. I don't know how it's the latest news, but we'll talk about our favorite 80s action stars, nostalgia stars, and then we're going to catch you up. It's been a while. Andrew and I reunited. We went to Vegas. We went for WrestleMania weekend. We saw Dead and Company. We went to a couple of fun wrestling fan events and Mania. So we'll catch you up with everything going on. Of course, my name is Evan Moody. I'm coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. Let me introduce the man who brings the color. He's no longer blading. That has been banned by TNA, apparently. I did read that, but he's the best.
Still do it.
He is the best.
Still blade, though.
I know. That's the kind of passion that you bring to this podcast that I appreciate, Andrew. But he was the best man at my wedding, and he is the best man, Andrew Gruthius. He's coming to us live from Coconut Creek, Florida. Andrew, it's been a minute. How are you, my friend?
It's been a minute on the air, but it hasn't been a minute in real life. We just, we got back from our trip, so that's great. I'm still sort of emotionally hungover from our adventures together. But everything's great here. It's a beautiful day here in sunny Florida. Saturday, the Sabbath. And all is well on this end. Everything is, sort of status quo. Going to get together with everybody tomorrow for Mother's Day. And hopefully have a nice afternoon, and all is well.
Yes, same here.
Can't wait for this goddamn year to end, but all is well.
Yeah, it's been, I know. I mean, yesterday was tough. I really had to like drink 6 cups of coffee and watch motivational videos on YouTube to actually, this morning I learned a lot, Andrew. I watched as I was working out. I put on Andrew's YouTube account and I watched Joe Blow discuss Tango and Cash. And
yeah, I love that you can. That's why it freaks me out that I know you can see what I'm looking at, and I wonder what you must be thinking. So let's see. What was I looking at yesterday? I said to myself, "Oh, Moody's gonna love this."
No, on the weekends when Maria's up, I'll put on the TV and I'll put on Andrew's YouTube and watch some fun YouTube videos. When she's sleeping during the week, I just listen to my headphones. But it was fun. Definitely Stallone in his super handsome phase, and I didn't know to the extent of development direct that the movie went through. And then that guy Brian. He was in Blade Runner. That was the biggest takeaway, that he had a very small role, but they liked him so much.
Brian James.
Yeah, they liked him so much that Stallone, I guess, they extended his role in the movie.
Oh, Brian James was a 80s character actor. I mean, he was all over the place. 48 Hours, and he was all over the place. And he died young. He died in the early 90s. I think he would have. I remember he had just played the lead in a crappy horror movie, but it got theatrically released.
What was it called?
It was called The Horror Show. And he played a convicted killer who was executed but didn't die. And went after his victims. And it was horrible, but it was a lead. And he was just on the cusp, and then I think he just dropped dead of a heart attack pretty young.
How old?
Brian,
how old was he?
Like 53, 54, around there. We're hovering, man.
No, I didn't mean hovering. I qualify for this.
Yeah.
I qualify. I get the senior discount at the 5 and Dime Diner on 16th Avenue in Phoenix.
But and you want to know something? Whenever I'm at the place. I've been here for 25 years though.
Let me ask you real quick. Does that freak you out?
A little bit. Yes.
When we talk on the podcast and we say so and so passed away at 61, and do you go, I'm only 10 years?
Not when we're talking about it. Not when we're talking about it because we're distracted. But when I get a notification or when I read it, when anybody dies, I look to see how old they are, and I look to see what they died from, and it always freaks me out when it's something natural. When it's something that is, because listen, I don't think I've ever admitted this to anybody, but I'll admit it to you right here. My biggest fear in life is losing someone or me going immediately. I know everybody goes the other way. Everybody wants to just have it immediate, no pain, whatever. Me, I need time to prepare. So that's my biggest fear in life. And so I don't know how we got on this topic, but
is it like, do you want people to visit you at your deathbed?
Not even that. Just for me to be able to emotionally get ready for, because me, whenever, even when I'm going away on vacation, I have to get emotionally ready for the sudden change in atmosphere, and I just feel like that's all. If God were to ask me for anything in life, that would be just give me the time I need for them and for me, and that's just my biggest fear. But my point is, I forgot what was the point.
I don't know, but I'm just saying I could see. I'll be in that. If it ever happens, I'll be in that room with Andrew. I'll be like, "Listen, Teresa, you got to go. I got to wipe his ass."
But I know that's not what I want. But. The point was, you asked me, do I get freaked out? And I always get a little bit relieved when it says something like, even if it's something horrible, when it's something more longer term, like even if it's weeks, like after a short illness or after, it's when it's sudden. That's what freaks me out. That's what scares the shit out of me. But if you get the time, so I know most people seem to go the other way on that, but for some reason, I'm like, I just, for better or worse, I need a little bit of a heads up,
I guess I just don't want to end up like Gene Hackman, like mummified with maybe the pet dog chewing on my torso for dinner.
Talk about freaky. That's just
poor guy. Oof.
Yeah, that's just a nightmare of a way to go. I'm talking when it's natural. But when it's an accident or when it's something fucked up like that's just man, how does that even happen? It just doesn't make sense.
I think Steve and Larson are laughing at this podcast right now. We're getting into such heavy.
We rocketed.
We're. I mean, Andy's a few years younger than me, but we're in our 50s plus, and these things are, man, they're coming up more and more. It's been a tough 2025, and I don't know. I find myself thinking maybe reflecting on it. It's not like I'm up at 2:00 in the morning, but it does enter my mind more and more.
Absolutely.
It does enter my mind.
Absolutely. That's 100% normal, I hope. And if not, at least it's you and me because I'm the same way and it's consistent, but it doesn't stop me. It doesn't paralyze me. It's momentary, you know?
Yeah. All right, listen. Let me get right to my big point.
And then you know what? And when I'm feeling that way, then I hear voices in my head and uncle me, and then we're good.
I watched because I didn't watch SmackDown last night. I watched the John Cena promo while I was working out this morning. Okay, so let me just say this, Andrew, and I'm gonna give me about 60 seconds reflecting on Las Vegas WrestleMania. I mean, I think the biggest thing I'd like to just discuss with you, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, is obviously the main event of night 2 was such a flashpoint for a lot of wrestling fans, and I feel vindicated. We watched the main event of night 2. I was pretty disgusted. I think Andrew was a little perturbed at maybe my disgust. I just want to get this off my chest, and I'll throw it to Andrew. Night 2 main event, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. As I stated to you after the match, Cena looked awfully slow and old in the ring. I think he'll be better today against Randy Orton simply because he'll get some ring rust off, and I think those guys have worked before. Cena looked old. The match itself was not great. A lot of headlocks and waist locks and sort of kind of remind me a little of Hogan Andre, maybe not as severe. All right, maybe I'm overgeneralizing. Then, of course, I think the absolute horrible ending with Travis Scott. I get it. Travis Scott has 15 million more followers on Instagram than it does. He's a tremendously popular guy. I don't know anything about him. I don't follow hip hop. Tremendously terrible ending with a guy who I don't think has gotten the goodwill of the WWE universe. He's not Logan Paul. And of course, they never pay off The Rock's involvement, which I think was a mistake. And then you get The Rock after, Dave LaGreca goes on a rant. The Rock actually answers him with, it's a work. And I have to admit, I don't disagree with Dave LaGreca at all. I just think, so overall, not a good way to end WrestleMania. I don't think WrestleMania 41 will go in the annals of history as a good WrestleMania. We could agree, disagree. I don't really have a point about that, but main event of night 2, Andrew, was kind of a stinker. What are your thoughts? You've gotten a chance to, sit back a week or two and marinate on it. What are your thoughts about Cena, Cody Rhodes night 2?
Well, obviously, I couldn't agree more about the main event. I can't hear you. Not at all?
Oh, now I hear you.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm speaking. You can't hear me? All right. Well, Evan can't hear me, but I'm going to answer him while he's. I can't hear you. I can hear you though, so I can hear him. So if you can.
You're fading in and out.
I can hear you. Everything you're saying. So I'm just going to talk.
I can't hear
I'm
you.
just gonna.
So we have a problem.
All right.
Right
Hold
now.
on. Let me.
Can you hit pause?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. We fixed it. So anyway, night 2. Yes. That's the thing. The main event. I think you'll remember because afterwards, for the folks out there who don't know, we did actually not go to WrestleMania itself. We pulled what I consider to be one of our best flex moves of all time, and we decided to go all in on really good seats for SmackDown and what we consider to be phenomenal seats for Raw on Friday and Monday. Turned out to be the right move because, as you know, the SmackDown before Raw, the SmackDown before Mania was very good. Much better than night 1, at least, of Mania, and the Raw after Mania was one of the best shows of the last 10 years, I would say. We had a great time there. But anyway, so that's what we did. So the night 2 of Mania was phenomenal until the main event, and it just goes to show you when you go all in on that main event, if that dies, the whole show dies because that's all anybody was talking about. And to the point where I remember right after the show, you and I were munching on some Nathans and happy as 2 New York clams. And you were lamenting about how, you felt about the main event, and I didn't quite get it yet. I was like, yeah, I get it. It was like, I didn't see that it was a terrible match. I saw that it was a little bit slow, but the idea of it and the weight of it was there for me. I enjoyed what I saw. And then, the Travis Scott thing really derailed the whole thing. But I felt that could have been fixed very simply by like a out of the crowd run in or something. It was the announced run in. The planning of it that just made it so ridiculous, and the slowness of it that just. But yeah, you're right. It completely derailed everything. But I didn't quite get it that night. When I got it was after listening to what you had to say a little bit. But with no offense to you, but more so with what The Rock pulled the next couple of days. With what
I
you
absolutely
said.
agree. I couldn't agree.
That was when I said, like, no, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. If that's the truth, then you keep that silent and you lean into it and you make this part of whatever long-term story. Because my attitude coming out of WrestleMania was, why does Mania have to answer every single question at this point? Every PLE is a big deal, not on the level of Mania, but so it's been a great show, and if you leave something hanging, good. Let's see where it goes. I got to say, with the past, with the way The Rock has done things, he always has some kind of plan. And at this point, I was like, that's where I was. But then the next couple of days, he said what he said, and I'm like, what? I mean, come on, don't be an asshole. And I was like, and they've crossed a line that at least The Rock himself might not be able to come back so easily from. What do you think?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he's on the board, but
I don't mean business wise. I mean like. Fans have all been ever forgiving of him for good reason. For good reason. He's like you said, he's really the true greatest of all time on many levels. I couldn't agree more on that. So you give him a pass on a lot of things, right. But it feels like the IWC, as everyone calls them, coming out of Mania and still to this day, even though it's only a few weeks. The hate for The Rock is real, I think.
Well, first of all, you don't need to listen to the IWC. Just listen to me. Yeah, I'm Joe Everyman.
That's true. That's true.
But I honestly, I feel like if I feel it, most fans feel it.
You were right. And you were absolutely correct.
The Rock, you had a couple of things. He did an interview with Pat McAfee where he sort of threw Triple H under the bus. He intimated that he was for, Cody Rhodes turning heel. Didn't work out, and I kind of threw Triple H under the bus. And then, with Dave LaGreca's rant, which I was perfectly actually fine with. I'm not a LaGreca fan, but I couldn't agree with him more. And then even worse, I thought, was The Rock smarmy. Everything's a word. I mean, of course we know that, you big dummy. And, to your point, yeah, I mean, I think The Rock's definitely not the biggest, the WWE universe, so to speak, is not looking down fondly. I think he's kind of botched that. I mean, he's on the board. He's got inherent power. The only other takeaway I could say is I do think creatively, the bloom is off Triple H. It's not to sit there and say that he's going to be killed on every decision, but you're starting to see, and I also said to you, he needs to stop putting himself out there, opening shows. I'm fine with the press conferences and that kind of thing. That's fine. But you're not Don King, you're not Dana White, and you're not Vince McMahon. I just want to see him focus on continuing good, fun, creative storylines. Stop putting yourself out there every 5 minutes, because as I told you, Andrew, there will always be a flip side. Now, what if I told you that I read that Netflix internationally holds the rights to WWE? WrestleMania internationally was not even in the top 10 of their viewership. Would you find that to be an interesting statistic or fact?
I'd find it to be interesting, but I wouldn't find it to be shocking, because Netflix and WWE, even though in certain global territories is huge, I still think it's expanding. So around the world, I don't know exactly where. Like, Russia is a huge country. I don't know if do they have it in Russia? I don't know. Do they have it in China? I don't know. But what I hear is,
knowing
interesting. Yes, I don't know how telling it is.
Well, I just think, because we go to Vegas and the WWE is printing money. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But there's always a flip side, and I think you were kind of like, wow, I don't see it coming. And I'm not saying it's coming, but I think the bloom is off. And the WWE had I think it was a shaky WrestleMania, good spots, bad spots. And I think they got to get the ship steered right. And I want to just see Triple H and his guys and girls focus back on good creative storytelling, the kind of stuff they did in the prior year or two. I wasn't, I wasn't happy, certainly, with how the main event went. And, that's it.
All right. Well, then here, I have a question for you. Or more of a statement, and you respond to it. What if I said to you that The Rock pulling this quote-unquote stunt at WrestleMania is the best thing that could have happened to Triple H?
No.
Why?
I don't think it's a stunt. I mean, he just didn't show up.
Right. But I think the bad will is going towards The Rock, and since then, the shows have been red hot.
Well, I haven't... last Raw was very good. I did not see SmackDown, so I did see this, the Cena segment with Orton running at the end. It was, to be honest, it was standard. I love John and Randy on the mic, so it's never going to be garbage. And listen, I said on this podcast, Cena, Cody Rhodes, it's not going to be a dog show because it's Cena and Cody Rhodes. So it wasn't a complete bomb. It just underperforming. I was pretty stunned at how limited John Cena was in the ring. I mean, he's 47. He's not 57.
So,
I
have an interesting question for you then. To that point, finish the point though. Well, my point is this. All right, go ahead.
He goes, finish the point. No.
I'm sorry. Well,
I just think they made a crucial mistake. I hear what you're saying. Or WrestleMania doesn't have to answer every question, but I do think it should, because WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. You've come on this podcast and you've said that it is the show of shows.
Yeah.
And to include The Rock, it's almost like, you're including Clubber Lang, but then he doesn't. It's massive. You got to have some kind of payoff there. You've included him, and not to go back to him at any level is quizzical, especially given Triple H, who writes really reality. He likes to tie in storylines. He doesn't like, Vince would throw something out there and never address it again. That I get. But Triple H really writes. He likes to connect. He likes to connect the dots. It makes a lot more sense. And I'm a realism guy. And to throw The Rock out there and not to have him come back, I just thought was a bad call.
I have a suggestion. A way to truly right the ship that could have nothing to do with The Rock or could have everything to do with The Rock. Taking into account Cena's age and that we now see that he might be more limited than we thought in the ring, and we also know that whoever Cena goes up against between now and the end of the year is basically going to be served up to him. Do you pivot a little bit and go back to the mid-2000s and do a little back and forth with Randy for a couple of months? Do you have Randy win it back tonight? And then do a little back and forth, maybe through SummerSlam, and then give him one more opponent, and then you end it with Cody. Who else are you going to put up there that if you're planning on having Cena beat everybody, whoever it is, through Cody? How do you do it without character-wise injuring that person when Cena's not who he used to be? Just a thought. What do you think?
Well, God bless. I love Andrew. I've always joked. Andrew, he's the guy who calls WFN and he goes, "Hi, Stewie, I'd like to trade Mike Piazza for the following people: Tom Glavine."
Ridiculous. Mackie Sasser for Gary Carter.
It's not ridiculous, but if if Randy Orton wins, I will shave my head clean tonight.
You're on. I will not do that yet. I'm close. Look, I got a haircut. I'm close, but I'm not going there yet.
Getting close. All right, well, we're working on that. But I don't see it. But then again, I said on this podcast, I don't see Cena turning heel. But I think Cena does have a pristine run. It might be a schmaz tonight, but John Cena is beating Randy Orton. You still have CM Punk. You have Drew McIntyre. You have, a couple. They floated R-Truth. Maybe it somehow might be in the mix. I'm not saying as a match.
Kill him, they'll serve up, but they're not going to serve up Punk. That would kill Punk. Punk and Drew, I think, are hovered around the world title.
I do want to slowly begin to wrap this up, but does Randy Orton lose anything by does CM Punk lose anything by losing to John Cena?
I didn't say any. What I said had really nothing to do with Randy Orton, other than there was that period of time where it was going back and forth between them, and it'd be kind of fun. Plus, it gives Randy, although the argument against that is that Randy still has time left to make his own final run, so you don't need to give it to him. But I'm taking what happened in the past, Randy's popularity right now, and the fact that Cena might not be able to give you banger matches, I might be considering going in that direction.
I do think he'll improve in the ring. I told you earlier.
I think so too. Probably.
I think he'll have time to probably work out a few of these kinks, and I think he'll move as he gets one or two more matches under his belt. He'll get some of that ring rust off, and I think he's danced before with Randy, so I think it should be a good match. But is it going to be a burner? They're both older guys at this point, and maybe they'll do some kind of gimmicks or run-ins. But I think Cena retains. I think Cena runs pristine until he drops the belt. Somewhat of a similar scenario that you've put out there, whether that's Cody or whoever drops the belt before he says a fond farewell, and hopefully, in a sense, maybe turns back face and before he goes.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to happen regardless. But to put a bow on this, coming out of Mania, now what do you do with Cody? To me, they're already screwing it up. But what do you do with Cody?
I haven't really given it much thought, but there's some talk he may show up tonight at Backlash. I think until you have a solid plan, you keep him off television, make it special upon the return. I haven't really thought much about it.
They've announced him for next week's SmackDown, not in any particular role. So I think they're.
Oh, that's good.
No, I disagree. I think his return. I think his return should be out of nowhere. I think it should be absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think we got to. He was getting jeers at the end there, so let him disappear for a while. Let him pop out of nowhere. But I think if you plan it. I don't like it. But what I would do, I invented a great storyline. If Bruce Pritchard or any of you guys are listening right now, in playing your game, WWE 2025, all right, I had, I forgot who it was, but I had a guy, because you have a thing called Universe Mode, which you can create your own, basically WWE Universe with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and put whatever wrestlers you want on each one.
All right, what's your storyline?
My storyline is, let's say you take Cody Rhodes and he just lost the title. All right, and you have a champion who now you don't know, he's not a guaranteed win anymore. He wins it back, but then he loses it in a squash somewhere, and so he's got to win it back that way. For example, in my game, I had a champion lose. I was playing as the champion, trying to defend the title, and I lost because I'm not very good at breaking out of submissions. I'm just not good at it. It takes a special button-pressing thing. So I lost it. So I set up a rematch, in which the only way for my guy to win back the title was to get the other guy to submit. And that's the way I see a Cody Rhodes thing. Keep building these little mountains that he has to climb. Get him up, knock him down. Get him up, knock him down. I think after Roman had the title for 4 years, I think a rotating title might not be the worst thing for the next year or two, especially when it comes to somebody like Cody, whose popularity could be fickle and go either way depending on what city you're in.
No. The thing is this.
I'm 0 for 2 today.
No, I don't think. No. I don't think his popularity. Well, fickle perhaps, but Cody Rhodes is still going to be one of your top 10 guys.
I agree.
Fans he'll always garner a response. My thing is, the one thing I do like, I mean, that's an interesting, I'm not going to poo-poo that scenario, but I like when the belts are held for at least a little bit amount of time because it makes the change mean something. When somebody wins, it means a little bit more to me. If you're popping it every month or 2 months or 3 months, I feel it loses its specialness.
I agree, but I would say maybe have a couple of runs in between your long terms, because we knew that at least 98% of the time during all that time Roman was winning, no matter what. It was always inevitable. So it'd be nice to sort of go back to the days where you really don't quite know, and I think we're sort of headed there. In a few ways.
That is true, but when you watched him, let's say when he fought Logan Paul in Saudi, they did a good job with the near falls. You knew Roman was coming out of it, but you were like, wait a second.
Oh, it was never not good.
LA Knight, these guys took him to the limit. They did a good job. They did it, Roman was your champion, but he kind of Ric Flaired it. He just escaped enough or had his cronies.
It was always how, and it was always fun. So it was great. But I think after, with especially if Cody's going to win it back, when you've got a face guy, I think the Hogan days are over. Well, I think they're long gone where you can have a face, because a face you got to keep throwing shit in his way, and when you're at the top, it's tough to find that stuff. With Hogan, it was I would say lightning in a bottle.
Hulk Hogan, you go to hell.
Yeah.
All right. No,
we're coming to Tampa, anyway. Hulk. We're coming to Tampa.
Well, let's real quick. Las Vegas, Westgate. What did you like? I liked our hotel.
Yes, I loved where we stayed because I felt, even though the WWE's headquarters was sort of at the Fontainebleau, it was the Fontainebleau. I felt like we were the rest of the wrestling world's center. I mean, everywhere we looked, there were familiar faces. In the restaurants we were in the casino, they were all over the place, and it was just fun just to be among them. WrestleCon was right there. The monorail system, the new monorail system in Vegas was like a game changer. So from where we were, guys like us, we don't need to be in the center of the strip and where everything is. We did have one night there at Harrah's, which actually I felt is a much nicer hotel. But I'm glad that we stayed where we stayed because I felt it was a perfect location for us from all perspectives. But Harrah's was beautiful, and I would absolutely stay there. I would stay at either of those places. Those would be my go-tos right now because I know that I know what I'm getting from both, and I know I'm going to be happy at both.
Yeah, monorail definitely was a game changer. Sphere Dead Company. First of all, what'd you think of the Sphere as a facility, and of course the Dead Co?
Well, the Sphere is the future.
Stunning.
It's one of the. I'm having problems describing it for people. It's something that's got to be seen and experienced to be believed and to be to be judged. It's just an incredible thing. I've never seen anything like it, and I don't understand why they're not popping up all over the place. Because it doesn't seem, I know it's super expensive, but it doesn't seem that complicated. So get to it, because this is the future. And I could see more and more, concerts and rock acts like the stuff that we like doing things like that. Because Dead & Company, I was actually concerned that we would forget that the band was there. But it somehow blended in such a way that it was a one of a kind experience that I don't think could be replicated. So 100%, 10 out of 10. What a great experience.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. My only other takeaway is I think they should call it Mayer and company, because John Mayer just really dominates that setup, and his guitar work is stunning. And never seen Mayer live. Just what an appreciation. This guy's keeping the mantle going in 2025. Live music, rock and roll, guitar work, stunning. That was my only thought. Otherwise,
no, he won me over. I was a skeptic of his, and he won me over that night. So,
do it one more time. Do it again. Do it again. He plays. He always does. What is that? This is the time with Billy Joel.
Yeah.
One more time. Do it again.
Isn't he the one who writes that? I want to run through the halls of my high school, like that song, weird song from back then. I forgot. It was him and one other dude, like Josh Groban or one other guy. I don't know who was the other guy that was running around.
Josh Groban?
I don't know. There was another singer songwriter who was running along with around the time Mayer was, but I forgot. I don't know. I didn't like either of them, but I do like Mayer now. Stay with what you're doing. Don't go back to that teeny bopper crap. Stay with what you're doing.
All right, Andrew. Let's move it on before we talk about Jean-Claude and Kill 'Em Alls. I don't know if it's the latest news, but let's talk some stuff about 80s action stars, nostalgia. It's nothing worthwhile. Spanning the universe.
Van Damme. Spanning the universe.
Yes, it's our favorite segment, Spanning the Universe. It's brought to you by our favorite med spa, New Life Center. Begin a new you. I was there. I got an email. I was at work. You have a 9:30 a.m. Saturday appointment last Saturday. I'm like, I guess my wife thinks I'm kind of looking kind of craggly.
And then you got a bill for it.
Well, luckily I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
That'd be hysterical. You come home. You go do your thing. You come home and right on the table.
No, you can relate to me because I don't ever ask for anything. I don't want to be that annoying guy. I don't want to be that annoying husband or boyfriend who's constantly at your wife's job, you know what I mean, hovering. And so I try not to go there much at all. But she sent me an email and she goes, "You're getting PRP." So let me explain what PRP is.
I would love to hear this one.
It's platelet-rich plasma. So they took blood from my arm, they spin it, so you get all that platelet, all that good stuff. Like athletes use it.
You've done this. So I noticed you have a healthier glow today. Look at you.
They injected it into my face. Yeah, right here.
Look at you. And, you look like the Joker in Batman without the makeup. Remember?
Oh God. I don't know. There was a scene. There was a picture of Jack Nicholson with John. Was it John Gruber? Who's the producer? He was on
Peter
Tango
Gruber.
and Cash.
Peter Gruber.
Yeah. John Peters? Was
John
it John Peters?
John Peters, yeah.
Yeah.
The hairdresser.
With Jack Nicholson. Right. Well, comparing me to Jack Nicholson at the Joker, I don't know if that's positive or
I meant your
negative.
Your immovable smile.
Thank you. Well, anyway, go to New Year Life Center, get the PRP, give them a call, 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. We want to thank my wife, Marie, Erica, Desiree, Brian, Shelby, Dr. Nabla, and the rest of the New You team. Thank you to New You Life Center. All right, Groo, some of this stuff is, we're going to clean out the closet like Howard likes to say. We're going to get everything off the computer. You want to hear about Maria Shriver talking about her divorce with Arnold?
Yes. I've never quite heard her perspective of this. Not that I care.
Let me take a little sip of your coffee. But, all right, Maria Shriver
was a good one.
Well, she detailed her brutal divorce from Arnold that left her spiraling in her new book of poetry, I Am Maria. What do I think of Larson and did I ever tell you about counseling? Anyway.
When I was in my early 20s, I was
It's a wrestling podcast. I don't want to talk. If I'm listening to a self-help podcast, then I want to hear maybe hear about counseling. All right. Anyway, in an excerpt obtained by People magazine, Maria talked about how her 25-year marriage to the Terminator actor blew up in 2011 after he admitted to fathering a love child with their housekeeper, Mildred Baena. Guilty, Robin. It broke my heart. It broke my spirit. It broke what was left of me, she penned.
Have you ever heard of a good-looking woman named Mildred?
Maria, 69. 69! Ronnie, the limo driver, 60. Praised her children, Catherine, Christina, Patrick, and Christopher, for showing grace, valor, and courage during the dissolution of her marriage to their father. Now, I love our verbiage, like dissolution of the marriage. You got divorced, okay? Right. The mom of four filed for divorce from Arnold, 77, in July of 2011. However, their divorce was not finalized until September of 2021. Former governor of California welcomed son Joseph Baena, 27, in 1997 with his housekeeper while he was married to Maria. However, Maria Groo didn't learn of her husband's secret son until he confessed during their 2011 marriage counseling session. That is pretty big. 2023, Arnold Schwarzenegger opened up Groo about how he broke the news of his youngest son to his other four children. Quoting Arnold, Groo, I had to go see my kids, explain it to them. He said in his Netflix doc, Arnold, the reason I felt reluctant talking about it is because every time I do, it opens up the wounds again. I think that I have caused enough pain for my family because of my F-up. Groo, I Am Maria is now available for pre-order and will be released on, it's been released on April 1st. Groo, Arnold's ex, she's talking about it. What are your thoughts?
Cry me a river. Now, listen, I'm going to get myself...
And I can't hear you again.
Really?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my
this
God.
is just a nightmare.
So I'm going to get myself into some trouble now. All right? I think we're at a point in society where you just got to be real about what is and what is not. All right? There are certain businesses, there are certain lines, there are certain lifestyles that people are going to live that are going to invite and encourage a certain kind of behavior. I'm not talking about criminal behavior. I'm talking about behavior that you and I would consider immoral. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen on both sides. It already does. And for people to pretend that they're surprised or that they unravel when these things happen and is to me at this point is naive. Now, I come from that from a perspective of never having really been in that situation, so I have no leg to stand on other than what I see left and right. People keep making the same exact mistakes that they keep making and keep wondering why they can't figure it out. And so that's my thesis on that.
Have you ever been in a relationship where that person cheated on you?
No, I just said I've never had that experience. Okay. So that's the only perspective I don't have is the one that really would make the difference, I'm sure.
Is your take? I'm trying to. Very interesting comments. Is your take that Maria kind of is like weepy about it, and maybe, if I'm hearing you correctly.
She's selling a book. She's selling a soap opera of a life.
Is it that you're in Hollywood and this is, if not to be expected, that it's something that you tolerated? I don't know.
Tolerated? Forget Hollywood. It's tolerated all over the frickin' are you telling me is she trying to tell me that here, 20 years later, all of a sudden she's got a come to Jesus moment about the time her husband cheated on her and knocked up a maid that they had in the house? Number one, this happens on every street corner, every day, every time. And yes, people get divorced over it and it sucks, but it happens. If you're telling me that if Maria Shriver is saying that in 2015 or 16, whenever this happened, if that's the first time that she thinks that Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger cheated on her, if that's the first time that she ever really had an inkling of that, then I don't think she's a real Kennedy. So
all I want to say is
be naive, sell your book, but leave me alone.
All I want to say is dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Wait.
I do think that
is that controversial?
No, I don't disagree with you, but I think sitting down with your ex or your whoever and hearing, you got a love child, that is pretty heavy. I do think I agree with you in a sense. In 2024, 2025, putting out a book of poetry, I Am Maria, that's not my cup of tea. I'll be honest. I mean, poetry isn't my cup of tea, period. And for me, 20 years later, I
don't know how long ago it was. It feels like it was recent, but I know it wasn't. So
all right. Well, listen,
but you know what? To me, for some stupid reason, and look, you know me too. I think you and I share the same morals on this. We talked about this. We agreed with Howard Stern, like, you're in something, you stay in it, and that's what it is. I think you and I are both on that page. But at the same time, for some reason, Arnold Schwarzenegger is Teflon to guys like us. I don't know why.
I always say this. It may have made him a bad or a terrible husband, but that doesn't make him a bad person.
Yeah.
I see things. I don't always see things.
It's not black and white.
I agree. And, personal and professional, or personal and your achievements, I can be separated, but that's just me. Groo, I do believe they've officially wrapped season 3 of Tulsa King, but
nice.
I did not know if you're aware. Robert Patrick of Terminator 2 Judgment Day fame has joined the series as he's going to be one of the new villains.
Nice.
Groo, Robert Patrick, who's best known for his iconic role as the T-1000, the shape-shifting antagonist in James Cameron's 1991 Terminator sequel, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, joins as Jeremiah Dunmire, a wealthy liquor tycoon. Robert Patrick's most recent projects include Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone prequel series 1923, second season of Reacher, and of course, Peacemaker. Well, I don't need to go about that, but I guess production of this article, I believe I saw something on Instagram that Tulsa King is wrapped. No word yet, Groo, when we can expect season 3 of Tulsa King to land on Paramount Plus. Groo, thoughts on Robert Patrick joining Sly for season 3 of TK?
Love it, and that's why. I mean, they've worked together before. They did. Robert Patrick was in Copland. You'll remember that.
Good call. Good call.
But I love what Tulsa King is doing. They're bringing back these. They're bringing these sort of offbeat faces that everybody knows, but people they don't remember their names, but they're old pros, and they know what they're doing, and that's what you need. You need guys like Stallone to be surrounded by these absolute superstars of the genre that they're in, and I love that they keep bringing it like that. Robert Patrick is a legend, and most people don't even know his name. But he's a fucking legend, and I can't wait to see what they have him do here. It looks like they're just having so much fun. And if Stallone did this the rest of his career and did nothing else, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just perfect casting for Tulsa. It just fits perfectly for Tulsa King.
Yeah, absolutely.
I grew. You know about Street Fighter and Jean-Claude. Do you want to hear about perhaps a new version of Street Fighter?
I heard what's going on mumbling about this. Let's hear. I did hear something, because it could only get, from what I understand, it could only get better.
Well, you actually, if I remember, thought it was kitschy, and I hated it. I
enjoyed Raul Julia. I remember that.
That's true. I remember.
Yeah.
Wait, let me think back. We're on a Jean-Claude Van Damme podcast.
We had a Raul Julia film festival.
So Legendary had picked up perhaps a 2026 release of a new Street Fighter movie. And now it's been pulled off the slate. The popular video game franchise previously received the live-action movie treatment in 1994, with Jean-Claude playing Colonel William F. Guile and Ming-Na Wen playing Chung-Li. According to Sony Pictures, Street Fighter has now been removed from the studio's 2026 domestic calendar release. Groo, it had a potential March 2026 release date. Article goes on to say, obviously, removal from the release calendar is a troubling sign, perhaps indicating substantial problems behind the scenes that will take time to be addressed. And this is a disappointing update, especially so soon after news about this Asian director, Katuro Sakurai, helming the new Street Fighter project. So that's really about it, Gru. The new Street Fighter incarnation may not see the light of day. Surprised?
All right, let me ask you a question, Evan. All right, you're a consumer, right? And I'm a businessman, and I sit you down. And I have a list of 4 different video game systems, and you have to pick 3 that you want and 1 that you don't. So I give you Sony PlayStation 6, Xbox Universal, Nintendo Millennium, and ColecoVision. Which one do you not want?
Oh, I mean, I want the older ones, are the ones that I recognize, like Nintendo, ColecoVision.
Yeah, but is that the one you want? Really? That's the one you want? Is that the one that most people are going to want?
No, I guess the newest ones are what most people want.
No, but most people don't know what the fuck ColecoVision is. So let's say right now you're looking at a slate of movies, okay?
But if you said to me,
Street Fighter, who the hell? Who knows what Street Fighter is nowadays? They didn't.
No, but if you said
you got to make a good movie first. So obviously they had a piece of shit movie because you have nothing else to sell it on.
I mean, if you said to me video game franchises enlisted and you to be a potential movie and you said Street Fighter, no, I wouldn't be.
It was a bad analogy because my point was from a business perspective. Like, which one do you want as a video game? Or which one do you want as a burger? Do you want, J. Alexander's or do you want Arby's? Actually, I don't know what you would say, but
no, I do. I did love J. Alexander's. Yeah. I did like J. Alexander's.
So it's like, you're like, or like you want the future, or do you want old hat that you might have never heard of? That was my point. So at this point, I'm a business guy. All right, who's interested in rebooting Street Fighter? Dragon's Lair? Galaga? Oh, all right. Star Wars? Yay! It's like, so I don't see the audience. So why would they even go forward?
I do remember playing Street Lair in
us, yes, Nathan's, but we are not who's going to the movies anymore.
I wanted to be the change guy who walked around with the change belt. I thought that was the coolest.
Wow, person. Little kids reaching into your pocket there.
I give him $1 and he'd be like,
oh my god,
he'd hit the 4 quarters.
Talk about the creepiest fucking job you could ever think of.
The only other thing I did see about Legendary was they posted a teaser for the new Godzilla X Kong. It's like a minute. And it's apparently going to be called Godzilla X Kong Supernova. Cool. And it was basically a Monarch computer, and it just had like danger, and it just showed a screen, and then it said in production now Godzilla X Kong, and they showed Supernova. That was the only thing I've heard about Legendary.
Godzilla and Kong, 2 franchises that are 150 years old and will live forever. You could do them over and over again. You could tell them a million different ways, and people never get tired of them. They're timeless like Jesus. All right? Street Fighter, I don't see in that lexicon.
E plebis unum. I see some white smoke, and it's the new Pope is Godzilla. Hey! Groo, do you want to hear about some more news about Ralph Macchio?
Sure. He's my, wasn't he my, what is it? The man crush? Wasn't he like the boy, like the man crush?
Well, I mean, I'm not believing this, and I don't think this is
Yes, he does wear a wig.
Well, he does, and he did. Of course, he did star in My Cousin Vinny, and he said in an article that the 1992 comedy that a follow-up to My Cousin Vinny has been in discussion. He told People magazine, "Yeah, I've had conversations with other writers about that. Ralph is now 63." That's one beloved piece. In the film, Ralph Macchio played Bill Gambini, a New Yorker going to college in Alabama who was wrongfully charged with murder. So his cousin Vinny, a lawyer who never won a case, and his no-nonsense fiancée, played by Marissa Tomei, drive down south to help him. One big hiccup for a next chapter is that the original star Joe Pesci is now 83. He officially retired from acting in 1999. He's returned to the screen 3 times, according to this article, Groo. Joe Pesci returned in 2010's Love Ranch, 2019's The Irishman, and 2023's Day of the Fight. But Pesci's acting gigs these days are rare. Marissa Tomei is now 60. Oof, gosh. She's still very active, Groo, having made a film or more nearly every year since My Cousin Vinny. And Marissa Tomei did win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, beating out Vanessa Redgrave, Joan Plowright, Judy Davis, and Miranda Richardson. I even write on my notes, Groo, I'm a bit skeptical, but are you down for a possible My Cousin Vinny sequel?
No.
I'm a bit skeptical.
No.
Yeah.
I remember very shortly after the first one, they were talking about a second one where he was going to go on trial in London. It sounded like fun, but then it just disappeared.
That's
Pesci's
actually
done.
That would be
That'd
fun
be hilarious.
It's a fish out of water.
Pesci, there's only one thing I want to see Pesci do for the rest of his career, and that is I'd like to see Leo Getz one more time, in some fashion, from Lethal Weapon. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But that's one thing. That's my favorite. Even though Pesci is a legend, he's created so many. That to me is his opus. Leo Getz is the all-time best. But yeah, he's done. No reason to revisit that. Perfection, leave it there. You had your chance, missed it. Be happy with Cobra Kai and whatever Karate Kid, this Legends thing is going to bring your way. You're good. You don't need to go to My Cousin Vinny. It's not, unless you do it. If you do it as like something different, like a TV thing or like a different story with the same characters, like seeing old Vito or old Lisa Marie and Vinny. I don't know, something fun, something cute. Old. Yeah, if you're gonna do something, if you're gonna go the Cobra Kai route and go from a different perspective and have some fun with it, yeah, but don't just be gratuitous about it.
Well, speaking perhaps of gratuitous, this will be our typical Marvel MCU discussion, but Andrew, YouTube, they did put out a teaser for Avengers Doomsday, and they have announced the following actors, Groo, that will committed to Avengers Doomsday. Of course, we have Robert Downey Jr. returning to the franchise as Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom. Chris Hemsworth has been announced back. He'll be back as Thor. Vanessa Kirby will be making her debut as Sue Storm, Invisible Woman. She'll be coming out with Fantastic Four First Steps, which is coming out late July. Anthony Mackie Groo is set to return as Sam Wilson, Captain America. Sebastian Stan Groo will be back as Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier. Letitia Wright is back as Shuri, the new Black Panther. Paul Rudd is Scott Lang, Ant-Man. Wyatt Russell, he'll be back as John Walker, U.S. Agent. Tenoch Huerta Mejia, he played Namor in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. He has been penciled in for Avengers Doomsday. Ebon Moss-Baccarat, he'll be making his debut as Ben Grimm the Thing in Fantastic Four, and he apparently will be in there for Avengers Doomsday. And I believe even Patrick Stewart will be back, 84 years young, reprising his role as Professor Charles Xavier. So, Grooey, excited at the prospects of the newest Avengers movie?
No. I'm not interested. No. It'll be one of those things like the other ones where if it's supposed to be a great movie, then I'll see it. And after seeing it, based on the recommendations, I would say Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame are two of the best movies ever made. But the thing is...
Thank you, Evan Moody.
Yeah, you're right. You were totally on the money on that one. But the thing is...
I say that
all the talent. Go ahead.
Andrew was down. If you listen to our early podcasts, he was, Marvel, if not superhero movies. Andrew was not a fan, and I get what he was saying, but there's a different level. I do love a great popcorn summer. Yeah, a little shallow, but special effects.
Nah, they were more than that. That's the thing. That's what was special about them. They were more than that. Agreed. That's why. So. And this definitely has the talent behind it. I know Anthony and Joe Russo, the guy who did the Infinity Saga, are doing it.
Yes,
so all of
Russo
them
brothers.
basically had to be yanked from trying to do other things, from what I understand. I don't quite get how they're going to work Robert Downey into this, but I have to think they have a great plan. So it'll be one of those things where I'm not going to be first in line, but if I'm hearing great things, I will absolutely give it a shot.
Yanked. My brother said that in storyline Marvel, Victor Von Doom and Tony Stark were stepbrothers or something like that. I don't know, but they're stepbrothers.
If they decided tomorrow to Bobby Ewing Tony Stark, I'd be all for it. because he's still the heart and soul of the thing. I know.
But the problem for me is then all the feelings I had from Infinity War and Endgame are like nullified in a way. That's why I hate
it. That doesn't bother me because you could do with it what you want. If you decide it doesn't exist, you can make it non-existent if you want. But I miss that type of movie making. So hopefully they have some great stuff up their sleeve. I'll bet they do. I'm sure they do. Chris Hemsworth as Thor is great. Is Hulk not? Is Ruffalo as Hulk not involved? Because his Smart Hulk in Endgame was. I loved it.
No, I fucking hate Smart
Really?
Hulk.
You didn't like it? See, I loved it. That was new. That was innovative. It was fun.
Well, that was fun, but then when they brought him back for the She-Hulk, which was an absolute abomination.
I didn't see that. I heard that was horrible, so I'm choosing to ignore that, and I'm just going by what was on the screen.
All right. No, he's not listed on my notes right now. But
Mark Ruffalo's now like too cool. He's an actor. He's
Well, he's always been that, but I don't.
So get Edward Norton back. He's not doing anything. That was an underrated movie, by the way.
It was good.
Yeah, The Incredible Hulk.
And, the only thing you saw it, but I mean, from what I had read, the newest Captain America movie, from stuff that I read, was more like a Hulk sequel. I don't know if that's true or not, with like the Red Hulk and everything. That's kind of the stuff
in a way.
Some of the YouTube, there's one or two YouTube pundits I like to watch when they discuss their takes on movies, and that's what one guy said.
Here's the thing when you try to reinvent the wheel, which is really what they try to do. You like it when you're there, but then you forget about it when it's gone. So you just said that, and I'm thinking, wait, Captain America? Oh, yeah, the Brave World thing this summer, yeah. See, it's already gone from my memory, but I remember every word of Captain America, Winter Soldier, and those, because I've seen those so many times because they're so gripping, and there's really only one Captain America. Anthony Mackie's fine, but I liked him better as the Falcon. The Red Hulk, Harrison Ford, great, but you know what? Reminds me of what came before, and I liked what came before better. So it doesn't really stick. It lands, but it doesn't stick, and that's the unfortunate thing about it.
All right, Groo.
You look defeated. What happened?
No, I wanted to. I was going to.
You don't pull that Fox woman on me.
No, I was going to.
Did you see that creepy shit last night?
Fox woman?
Not anybody we've heard of, but a young blonde was on and just in the middle of an anti.
Oh, she fainted.
Yeah, you did see it.
I saw. Yeah,
it was really.
Well,
creepy.
I mean that could happen. I mean, people, it's I don't know, a lot of pressure under those lights. But I was going to sing a bit of a Billy Joel song because HBO has announced that they're doing a new 2-part documentary. It's called Billy Joel, and so I was going to do I'm only here to hear you cry because I am an innocent man.
All right, let's see if I can get No, I can't do it.
Groo, it's called Billy Joel, and so it goes, and it's going to debut on HBO Max this summer. The project, which comes from the team behind the documentary Jane Fonda in 5 acts, promises an expansive portrait of the life and music of Billy Joel based upon archival concert footage, home movies, and in-depth interviews. Quoting director and producer Susan Lacey, for those who think they know Billy Joel's story as well as those who are not familiar, I believe this 2-part film is both a revelation and a surprise. I was drawn to his story as someone who knew little at the outset and was astounded at how biographical his songs and how complex his story is. We are gratified that Bill trusted us with his story, which we have told as honestly as possible, diving into territory which has not been explored before. Groo, last year, Billy Joel finished out his historic residency in Madison Square Garden, performing 104 shows over this decade-long headlining gig, bringing his total to MSG shows at over $150. Groo, we know, of course, he released his first new song in 17 years and performed the track at the 2024 Grammys. Groo, surprised Billy Joel of all rock acts is getting the full documentary treatment.
Well, I would say he's probably doing it in lieu of any kind of autobiography that he was writing that he just doesn't want to finish. That said, I really, guys like you and I are going to be watching it with a very fine-tooth comb because we feel there's very little about him and his career that we don't know, so we're going to be looking for stuff that we don't know. I think we'll be able to tell how deep they're going to go just by... At least if I know I'll be looking ahead of time to see who is involved and who isn't, and that will be very telling. If it's all Mike Del Giudice, Mark Rivera, and Crystal Taliaferro and Christy Brinkley, then we'll know that they're not really going deep. But if you get some Russell Javers and if you get Liberty in there and you at least talk to these people, then we'll know that it's going to be something worthwhile. So. But we love Billy Joel, warts and all, so obviously we're going to watch and we're going to enjoy it to some extent. That's something to look forward to.
I agree with your comments. The question is there going to be enough there for a guy like you and me? Obviously, people listening to the podcast and be like, who cares what you guys think? But we are pretty hardcore Billy fans. We've gotten we've listened to all the extended DVDs, everything. We've got all the archival footage. We've seen all the cool stuff on YouTube. We listened to all the interviews with Howard and all the different things he's done. And I just don't think as a rock fan, he's the kind of... I was surprised. Even if I wasn't a massive Billy Joel fan, he doesn't seem like he has that sort of long, sorted... He's not in a band where people come and go and things like that. It's not a guy that I would think lend itself to, a documentary where you could really find something. But like you, I'll be eager to watch. I'll probably be there upon the first sitting and wondering what new stuff I can learn about William Martin Joel.
Yeah, and I did see the Jane Fonda one. That team does do a good job, although there was one thing missing from that one that I was really interested in that they didn't really touch upon. But they do produce a good documentary. So, look, it's one of our guys, and anything we can get for one of our guys, we're going to take, and we're going to, eat it up no matter what it is. That's just where we are in life. So, what is it? It's like next month, right? End of June?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's already on the teaser reel for Max. Like,
all right, I'll check
that
out.
It's just a big clip. It's like all the new stuff coming up in the summer. They do like a 2-minute teaser of different,
like 25 seconds, please, and then just go to something else. And
they show like Cena for Peacemaker 2, and then all the big shows and stuff that I don't even know too much with Max, but I know Peacemakers. They've already released the full trailer for Peacemaker season 2, and on that one, and maybe we'll watch it on one of the podcasts. On that one, they connect. I guess the guy who's playing Green Lantern and the Superman, he's in it, and Hawkgirl, so James Gunn is slowly connecting. His
slowly
franchise,
controlling
his
the universe. He's slowly taking control of the entire universe.
I guess so. So
well, he's done pretty well so far. I'm looking forward to Superman.
You're clicking in and out now. Oh, Lord.
All right. Well, let's try it again then. Yeah, I don't get it, but we are what we are.
I know. I'm looking at myself right now, and it's like, well, I have a lot of white in my mustache and beard. This is. I'll say to Marie, I'm like Marie, should I color it? And she's like, if you do, I will divorce you immediately.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It's the best excuse to do nothing, and I like it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's like, you know what? I'm past that. Well, I was never there. I mean,
I was in the I was in the district office, and like one of the ladies from like the social work team walked by, and she goes, "Are you growing your mustache and beard long?" And I was like, I didn't really give any thought about it. I barely washed and brushed my teeth this morning. So
and then you look at you like, ain't no way the boogeyman can get you. I will take you home.
That's right, Brent. All right, Groo, before we kill them all, let's give a Nothing Worthwhile Van Damme and shout out to New You Life Center. Beginning New You. Check out all of their medical weight loss programs. Speaking of weight loss, Andrew we're probably within 10-pound differentiation.
I'm around 186, 187.
So I'm like 175. So everybody's like, because the only time I ever really post on social media is our podcast and like fun family trips and like when I get together with Groo, and that's it. So Andy's a fairly stout presence in my social media. So when I posted for all of our our Las Vegas fund, they're like, oh my God, he's so thin. Who is that man?
Yeah, and
Who
then
is that man?
Then I say to those people, like, what are you saying? You saying you didn't like me before? Fuck you. Go to hell. No.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're like, we're very shallow.
Yep. Hey, who are we? The booby trap is our.
Listen,
anyway.
if you need to get on that medicine, weight loss, whatever it is, give them a call 602-274-0068. Tell them I may actually I'm thinking about having my department end of the year soiree over there. Let the ladies can do like facials or I don't know, something like a massage.
Marie loves doing that. She loves throwing shindigs.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll walk over to Gus's Fried Chicken is across the way, which is actually the fried chicken joint from Breaking Bad. You might actually like it.
Of course I use fried. Of course I would.
But it's a spinoff of the actual chicken joint.
All right.
From Breaking Bad. So anyway, It's a little Breaking Bad sort of fun place. So all right, we want to thank everybody from New Life Center and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
All right, Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All. Oh boy, Kill 'Em All was released by Destiny.
My thoughts exactly.
Well, I mean. No, I do want to talk about it. When Andy and I talked about the Kill 'Em All podcast, it was like Kill 'Em All, unfortunately, may be 0.001% content of this actual podcast because we had so much we wanted to talk about and cover. But we did see the trailer. It was released, Kill 'Em All was released by Destination Films on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital June 6, 2017. It stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as Philip, Peter Stormare as Agent Mark Holman, Daniel Bernhardt as Radovan Brakowski, Autumn Reeser as Suzanne, Maria Conchito Alonso, that was fun to see her, as Agent Linda Sanders, and Chris Van Damme as Dusant. So when you're looking at the casting, I think the first thing that jumps out to me is Peter Stormare.
Yes, and interestingly enough, when I saw that name, because I looked it up before I watched it, and I knew that name from somewhere, but I couldn't place him. I couldn't figure it out. And then I remember the reason that I knew the name is because I knew him personally for a little while.
What?
Because he worked on the sequel to Get Shorty that I worked on, Be Cool. He played like a Russian hitman. And he was a lesser cast member, so I remember hanging out with him and the guys who were playing like the Russian gang, and they were just the nicest, coolest guys. And that's I just remember the name, and then I saw him in the first scene when he's interrogating. I forgot her name already. Jessica, what the fuck is her name? Vanessa, what's her name? I forgot. But Suzanne with a it's with a Z. Yeah, Suzanne with a Z.
That's right.
So then I'm like, yep, there he is. Yes, Peter Stormare. And then I'm like, yes. So he's one of those B-level guys, but he's always working. He's always he's a standout presence. And honestly, him and Maria Conchita Alonso play a very sort of dynamic good cop bad cop team there. I thought they're two pros.
Well, first of all, isn't Peter Stormare like the go-to Russian gangster in a lot of films?
Yes, which made him an interesting choice for this.
I think he was in the original John Wick.
Never saw it.
I have him. He was in Fargo.
Remember,
he was in the television series Prison Break, Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Remember him in that, yeah.
Big Lebowski.
Yeah, he was. You're right. Yeah.
Armageddon.
That was before. That was all before I met him. I met him around 2004.
8mm.
We saw that together. We saw that movie. Remember we saw that movie. Remember we saw 8mm together. We walked out of that we felt dirty after that. We're like, we gotta go do something like we gotta go to a library or something. We gotta we gotta go give money at a church banquet or something.
I don't feel dirty very often, but that was a dark movie. That was really a dark movie.
Oh my God, it was.
Minority Report. Bad Boys 2, Constantine, 22 Jump Street. Now, I want to ask you a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned he was like he was a smaller role in what was the movie again that he worked with him on?
Be Cool. The sequel to Get Shorty.
So is it like, do those guys just chill in catering as they're waiting for their one or two moments?
Well, they all have their little dressing rooms. The stars,
even the lesser known guys.
Yeah, well, the stars, they have to. I mean, they have to have a place to change and get in costume and all that. The bigger stars have their own trailers where they do everything. But those guys will have I would say a small living room sized room that they have to get changed or do what they need to do while they're waiting. And yeah, they just hang around. And some of them, I remember playing PlayStation with Cedric the Entertainer. He was just sitting there standing just waiting, and there was a PlayStation there with a TV for the crew, and he just started playing NBA, whatever, and I just started playing with him. So yeah, a lot of these lesser guys, they'll just hang around because the bigger guys are used to people kissing their ass 24/7. So a guy like Peter Stormare would be. I remember one time I'm sitting around just in a director's chair, surrounded by the following people: the father from the Wonder Years, a character actor you would also know very well, you would know his name, and Judd Hirsch. These three old pros. And me, and I'm just listening. I'm not even part of the conversation, but I'm just there, and it's just this is so fucking cool. And these guys like Peter Stormare probably have a million stories that would fill volumes in a library that just never go anywhere because nobody knows who they are.
So my take on Peter and Maria, it was very enjoyable to see Maria Conchita Alonso again, because she's definitely a nostalgia face that was fun to see. But it's I'm just saying this.
Was she not in Running Man?
She was. The last big movie, honestly, I think I remember was Predator 2. She was in. It's been a while since I've.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but she might have been in other stuff.
Spanish
I don't know.
porn, maybe.
Well, my thing with those two guys is I've never seen. I'm just being real. Two more non-American FBI agents than Peter Stormare and Maria. And listen, I know we're a melting pot and everything like that, but it was I don't know. It was just the two of them. I found it a little bit tough.
It was
because Peter Stormare plays it real foreign-y. He plays it he's kind of like the greasy Russian gangster, just as an FBI agent, and therefore the little blip at the end didn't surprise me, which we'll get to.
Right. I mean, everything is telegraphed, but here's the thing, and you tell me if you agree. Yes, at first it's a little distracting, but those two people, to me, are old pros who are good at what they do, and they were able to sort of transcend it. So, Maria Conchita Alonso was convincing to me, and so was Peter Stormare. So they were able to get over that, sort of stigma pretty quickly, I thought. And it was the way it was filmed too, because it wasn't all straight. They kept coming back to it, so you didn't you didn't have to deal with it for very long at specific times. Do you know what I mean? It was the wraparound, it was the Usual Suspects-y kind of wraparound story.
Well, you're giving away a lot of my thoughts on the movie. I mean, it's specific.
That's not a good or bad thing. I'm just saying that's how it was presented.
No, but it was specific to the FBI. I felt like it was kind of cheapish. It was exterior where they tacked on an FBI sign onto some industrial building, and that was the only exterior shot. And then it was generic office FBI. That's I do remember that part where I was it looked cheap-ish.
Yes, I have especially with the FBI. I have thoughts about it. Yeah.
All right, Groo, an unidentified man arrives at a local hospital, seriously wounded. He's taken care of by a devoted nurse named Suzanne. Things take a turn for the worse when an international gang invades the hospital to kill him. All right, interesting setup there.
Absolutely, very intriguing premise.
Groo, you want to take a gander? There's really not a lot of notes to talk about. There was a budget for Kill 'Em All. You want to? I know you like to take a stab at our data. Any thoughts on how much was spent on Kill 'Em All?
Yeah, I'm going to guess that 98% of the budget was spent on acting.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm serious.
I'm laughing. Yeah.
So I think they cheaped out on a lot of things, and I'm saying that as not as a term of endearment. I'm going to say it doesn't look like it was any more than 12 to 15 million.
Yeah, I have here 4 million, and I also wrote it looked at because I agree with you. There is a very cheapish look, and I think some of it has to do with, you're a film guy. Some of it, and this will go to my thoughts on the movie, but I thought it had a cheapish look because also the way it was shot, it was like the same 2 or 3 exteriors. It was like the same hallway in the hospital, the FBI, that same exterior, stairwell. It was like just like those. It just kept on coming back to like those exteriors.
But that's why I'm saying
and it looked cheap to me. And I'm not a guy who fixates on that.
No, it was cheap. It was it absolutely was distractingly cheap. But here's the thing: you say $4 million, so how much? Because the cast.
That's what I have.
Right. No. I completely buy it. So it's like I have to wonder like what someone like Van Damme would get because cast salaries are in the budget. So it's like, all right, does Van Damme get 3 of that and they have $1 million left between all the rest of the actors? Or is Van Damme saying, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself and take a back end deal and not take much money up front? Maybe it's like that. I don't know. But you're right. They did not spend money to decorate the set in any. It was definitely very bare bones,
very sparse.
Did not feel genuine. It didn't matter where you were. You never felt like a hospital. Never felt like an FBI office. And when you're filming a movie, when you're making a movie that depends on the claustrophobic feel of the thing that you're in, like Die Hard. There's obvious comparisons to Die Hard.
That tension,
you have to believe, you have to believe that, we're trapped in here and there's no way out. Here, the entire movie is saying, well, we'll get done as soon as the director yells cut. Everything will be okay. You know, like but it almost broke the fourth wall to me. That's why like my thoughts are kind of weird on it. You know what I mean?
All right, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. They did not have numbers in terms of movie gross. The only thing I have on the movie is that it generated about $200,000 for domestic video sales. There is just 3 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience gave it a. You want to guess what the audience score might be?
How many? Well, does it say how many
50,
audience people? 50? All right. This was not a crowd pleaser, I don't think so. I'm going to say 15 to 17%.
15% hit it right.
I got it. Nice. Look at that. Look at that.
Ed Travis of Synapse said Kill 'Em All is a film that displays none of the exciting physicality or bravery of performance that some of JCVD's recent work has shown. Barbara Schugasser of Common Sense Media said, loud, violent action movie has lots of blood and violence. Andrew Pollard of Starburst said, while many will be swayed by kicks to the faces, guns, knives, Eastern European assassins disguised as strippers, and the prospect of Jean-Claude Van Damme doing what he does best, all of these elements are unfortunately overpowered by a stinker of a script. So, I mean, you know, we'll go to 0 to 4 kills. What do you give them? But you were talking more about your overall thoughts on the film, the look. Like the only other thing I'll add before I'll get to our final thoughts was I think part of the charm of the movie was that they had, when you talk about money and casting, so they had Daniel Bernhardt, who was, I think he was the good guy in the subsequent kickboxing movie.
Bloodsport. He was in the Bloodsport sequels, yeah.
And Jean-Claude's son was in this as well. They actually square off.
They had a fight.
And I'll say this, it didn't feel special to me on film.
It was very brief, and there was no build-up. There was nothing. Yeah, he was a generic villain. He didn't have much to do.
No, so, I mean, unless you have a lot more to say, do you want to just go? I can go first, or you want to go your overall review of the movie?
Yeah, I'll give my review with a brief preamble. So I didn't hate this movie as much as I thought I would because I figured it was, you know, I've been a very harsh critic of the Van Damme movies we've been doing since we started Van Damme It, and to put this in a different category would be difficult. But at the same time, go ahead, Evan.
Do you look at this a little bit differently because it's straight to streaming? Because I do.
I do too. And I look at it. It's not that it's got a different bar. It's that it's a different. I don't know. It's just a different type of viewing experience. So the cheapness of it quickly turned into a novelty for me. It didn't bother me as so much as it made me chuckle so it was almost enjoyingly bad. But the reason that it didn't bother me is because I really did enjoy the interactions between the characters, pretty much everybody except Van Damme, who had 10 lines in the whole movie. He hardly spoke, which was probably better. But
he is a bit dour in this movie.
Yeah.
He's always exhausted and he's always sad.
Yeah, and there's very little depth to his character anyway. So, but what he does well. But the other people, they bring their A game and they're working with what they've got. So the movie gets a B+ for effort. I have to say, they just did not spend enough money to really make it a serious type of movie that it wanted to be. It wanted to be like a combo of The Usual Suspects and Die Hard. And that is a very interesting approach. You just have to have a better script and more money. And they didn't have either. So I have to give it 1.5 kills. The 1.5 is pure for they tried. They had a great idea. They had a great premise, a great approach, great attitude. Just couldn't pull it off.
1.5 kills for Andrew. All right, Andrew. Let me take a stab at this. What did I like about Kill 'Em All? It's always fun to see Jean-Claude. He's older. It's always fun to see him on film. I can't disagree with Andrew. He's limited here, but I like to see Jean-Claude. I did think the very cute Autumn Reeser as Suzanne was fun to watch. We do get a Van Damme versus Van Damme square-off. Not very special, but, we see Jean-Claude square off against his son. What did I not like about this movie? As I said before, this movie looks cheap. It feels cheap. The Usual Suspects, it's kind of blatant here. Swerve ending, and then we get another swerve ending upon the swerve ending, and by then I didn't care. Most of this movie takes place on the floor of a hospital or in a stairwell. Peter Stormare and Maria Conchita Alonso make up the least American FBI CIA agents in the world. I don't like, they actually try to put in archival footage of actual political conflict. Does not work here at all.
That worked horribly. You're right.
No, you want to do that for Hurt Locker? Fine. Here, it's really, really bad, and it made me even like this movie even less. So, in my review, I asked Andrew about your expectation because on a straight-to-streamer, I want just a lean. I'm fine with the budget being lean, but I want a fun, give me action, give me a hard-boiled Jean-Claude action romp. Give me an older
you put John McClane in that role, and it's a better movie.
Fine,
because every time he falls down, he's going to say something, do something that's going to entertain the audience instead of just wince in a Belgium accent.
Well, I want an older Jean-Claude. Give me a small plot, and just give me fun action. This gave me neither. It's a bad old Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I disagree. I think Andrews might even be a little tougher, but I thought this was really bad. I didn't even care about the swerve ending. On top of the swerve ending, Peter Stormare. So I just like this movie so much. I gave it half a kill.
Wow. Well, as compared to Kill 'Em All 2.
Well, let's get to it. You want to get to Kill 'Em All 2?
Whatever there's left to get to, let's get to it. I just had a name for it and I forgot. You said something that oh God, I forgot.
Because my expectation, they have a ton of Jean-Claude straight to streamers, and I've seen a few that are not bad because my expectation is slightly different. It's all right, I know this is not a major theatrical release. I just want to. It's fine if it's lean, fine if it's a little cheaper, but give me fun action, make it a little bit of sense. I'm happy. Here, just a very convoluted plot. You could see the swerve coming from a mile away. You could see the Usual Suspects sort of ending, and when they get into whatever that, like town car. And then now she wears a wig, a purple hair, which is supposed to be her real hair, but no.
Well,
no.
Then you got Kill 'Em All 2.
It's like Marie when she walks. It's like Marie when she walks into our bedroom after I've passed gas. No.
Well,
no. You're not gonna.
Well,
now she's wearing a wig, but it's supposed to be her real hair. No, please.
Okay,
no.
but Kill 'Em All 2 was very clearly a script that had been floating around Hollywood that was probably attached to probably be a sequel to 20 different franchises.
Like Cloverfield?
Or even like a Beverly Hills Cop, or even like another Die Hard. Like because it's literally insert famous action character here. And so all of a sudden, Philip reunites with his daughter. After having those flashbacks in the first one, which I think is a staple of every Van Damme character who
total exposition.
Yeah,
total
starts the movie, flashbacking to the wife and daughter that he lost. Isn't that like literally every Van Damme character at this point?
Not only does Jean-Claude lose in most of his movies his wife and his family, but it's like in the most brutal, psychotic.
Yeah,
it's like we're going to drown him, but then we're going to let him breathe, drown him again.
Yeah, girls, the good-looking muscle guys are nothing but trouble.
Right.
We're safe. We're safe.
In Cyborg, as he's being tied up with his hairless, oiled body, muscles as he's tied. No, as the dunking and killing his family.
Oh my God.
All right, so Andrew's got Kill 'Em All 2 was Cloverfield. Kill 'Em All 2 grew. Kill 'Em All 2 was released on digital September 24th, 2024. In December 2023, the sequel to Kill 'Em All was announced with Jean-Claude Van Damme reprising his role as Philippe, with principal photography beginning January of 2024. Excuse me. Jean-Claude's back as Philippe. Jacqueline Fernandez as his daughter Vanessa, Dimitar Dojchanov as Kaz, Andre Leinart as Vlad, the big villain Vlad, Peter Stormare is back as Agent Holman, and then Marita Conchito Alonso is back briefly as Agent Sanders, and Talia Asaraf, I feel like I've seen her before, as Lydia. And as Groo mentioned, we go right into the action. Philip comes face to face with a Russian-French terrorist who wants to exact revenge for Philip killing his brother, apparently in the first Kill 'Em All. Groo, production budget for Kill 'Em All 2. Well, I could not find. I could not find through a Google search Kill 'Em All 2's budget, but I did find an online item.
I'll do? I will forward you. No. I will forward you last week's paycheck. Okay, take out half the money from that, and you'll have my paycheck, and you'll have what the budget for this movie was.
Do you think the budget for Kill 'Em All 2 is more than Kill 'Em All?
No. Yes.
Yeah, it looked a little bit better,
because there were more locations, but literally that's because the first one took place in one room.
Well, I haven't. I must have found something. Do you want to? I don't know if my notes are correct. Do you want to give
the first one? You said the first one was 4.
Yeah.
All right, let's double it. Let's say 8.
I knew you were going to say that. You're very good. 10 million. That's what I have as the budget.
Close.
According to my notes, Kill 'Em All 2 grossed $17.7 million domestically and $29.4 million worldwide. If that's against a budget of $10 million, is that somewhat impressive?
That's a hit. Right? That's a hit. But why is I don't remember this one coming out in the theater. I don't remember them. I never. You know what? In fact, before you said we were doing these, I had never heard of them.
We did. I think we did see the trailer for one of them. I don't know.
I've seen a lot of trailers. So I did not know of the existence of this until we decided to do it, and then so I'm surprised to hear you say that one made. Not only did it come out in the theater, it made $17 million. So it cleared its budget in the States, and then it made another 30 outside. These people ran off. These people made bank.
Yeah, I mean, internationally, it did not surprise me. Domestic did surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully they just. I'm glad. It seems like. Well, I don't know if they're making any more, but don't take the money and run.
I have no notes on Kill 'Em All 3, but I have.
Well, I'm sure that script is floating around there somewhere.
Maybe it could be Cloverfield.
Could be the next Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon 5 is going to become Kill 'Em All 3.
There are no official Rotten Tomato scores for Kill 'Em All 2. I found one review. Abhishek Srivastava of the Times of India says, Kill 'Em All 2 is not only a waste of time, but a masterclass in cinematic mediocrity. Even the beautiful locations, Andrew mentioned the locales, can't distract from the film's utter lack of substance. So we can briefly discuss and go into reviews. I do agree with you. The first thing you get is exposition, and you go right into action. It's like it's definitely different paced than the first movie right off the bat.
Yeah, but at the same time,
does it seem kind of ridiculous? Like I was like, he's sitting with his daughter drink like a cup of a spout of tea, and then you have like
Evan, it does not seem ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's complete nonsense. It's out of this. It's mind-bogglingly stupid. But
and how Jean-Claude is able to know? He's like, you see that guy in the coffee shop?
He's tracking us.
Funny.
He's tracking us.
Yeah.
He's like, that. Yeah, that's a thing to say nonchalantly when you're on vacation with your kids. It's like, hey, honey, before we go to Disney World, that assassin over there, he's got his gun at Mikey here. So let's just chill a few minutes while I get a latte.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm going to go inside, go to the bathroom, be very careful, and have your gun,
lock the doors and roll up the windows. So it's all stupid. But what I was going to say is I looked at these as one movie. 1 and 2, I really look at them as one movie because even though they do feel like they're made differently, it feels like Act 1 takes place here and then Act 2 takes place here. Because it's pretty much, not predominantly the same cast, but as far as the major players, you have Van Damme and Storm Mar. Even though Alonzo is, I'm convinced that her scene was probably from the first one that they cut.
Interesting.
And that they probably used just to say she was in this one. But they got a little overzealous. But yeah, it was just a continuation. So I don't look at it under a different critical lens.
Okay. Do you want to give any final thoughts? On a 0 to 4 kills?
I'm going to keep it at 1.5 because I do think it's at the same level. I can't say that I wasn't entertained by it. I stayed through the whole thing. It was just like the first one. It was a crisp 90 minutes. It was basically, if the first one was Die Hard and Usual Suspects, this was basically Taken, and maybe a little Born Identity type stuff. But nothing really worth anything. But a passable little time killer. Do I need the time back? No. Would I have been annoyed if I went to see this in the theater? Probably. But 1.5. We'll stick with that.
All right, Groo. What I liked about Kill 'Em All 2, it's a straight up action movie. There's no pretense. Within 3 minutes, we've got gunfire, we've got blood, we got death. They get right to it. What's bad about Kill 'Em All 2? I do think the movie has a better look and a better feel than the first Kill 'Em All. But the actors are kind of generic one-note players. It's sort of a formulaic revenge plot. Like the guy who plays Vlad, Andre Leinart, with no shirt the whole movie. The muscles rippling. I
didn't mind that
foreign
at all.
heel.
I don't know about you.
All right. Foreign
boing.
heel. My review.
I love women. I
love you. Okay.
Drop it like a...
I guess I'm a little. I guess I typed my notes a while ago. I'm kind of rough on this. I don't know if I feel exactly this. I wrote completely unnecessary sequel to an even worse movie. First of all, I do think the girl who plays Jean-Claude's daughter is beautiful, but she's Indian. Jean-Claude is like European. And I mean, unless his girlfriend or his wife was Indian, I mean, she's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I read the Wikipedia. She's a Bollywood actress. So she's big with Indian movies. But if I looked at her critically, I'd say you don't look very much like Jean-Claude's daughter.
No, but it's also a product of the times we live in. They don't take that into consideration anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that it gets right to the action. Jean-Claude is always he's very downcast in this movie. He's like always like tired, and I thought this movie kind of cops the Equalizer a little bit, like especially like it's the village and they're getting kind of like bullied by the gangsters, and Jean-Claude comes in and like then he sets up the gangster at the end where the villagers take out. They like totally like take revenge on him.
I will help you beat El Guapo.
Yeah. I gave it 1 kill. Jean-Claude could do better. I like this slightly better than Kill 'Em All, the first one.
So an unnecessary sequel that's better than the original. Wow.
Well, to an even worse movie. So the original was
interesting. Yeah, okay.
I was hoping for a bit more from Jean-Claude on the streaming world, I have to admit.
Yeah, I would say these are missed opportunities. But then again, aren't they all?
Well, could it be that something like this streaming-wise gets well reviewed or is liked, and could that lead to momentum to a possible studio release?
Well, yeah, it's got to be good, though. That's the thing. Yeah. It's got to be good. And if it's not good, no one's going to watch it.
All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to Kill 'Em All 3. Supernova. That'll be on
the real
Tubi.
Revenge. The real revenge.
The real revenge.
His cousin now. The cousin of Vlad and the brother of
Yeah, and in this one he'll have an Asian daughter. I mean, something completely ridiculous. A kid from Nigeria. I mean, come on, Jean-Claude. Put a little something into it, please. Groo, do you have anything you want to talk about? One thing you're watching this week? Anything?
Yeah, actually, I actually went to the movie theater and saw Cheech and Chong's last movie. And it was really, really good. It's basically, I would say, a half documentary and half sort of like the two of them just riding in a car and in character, but sort of hashing out their entire lives together. And really funny, really heartfelt, really enjoyable. Highly recommend. Good stuff. Cheech and Chong's last movie.
Yeah, I saw some stuff online about it. I guess I was listening to Howard Stern, Quite Frankly podcast, and they talked about how Cheech and Chong, I guess, were put on the wrap-up show, and that pissed off a lot of people that they didn't get a main-level Stern
I think appearance. They were. I think they were on the main show as well.
I think
I heard that they were. Right. I didn't hear either of it.
I don't know.
But the movie's great. I didn't realize how like big these guys were.
So is this basically their last team up?
That's what they say, but it's not like this is them saying we're done. I mean, they're still a team.
Is Tommy Chong smoking reefer through this entire movie?
I don't think they smoke at all. They pop gummies in the beginning. And then they're just, but it's just, I mean, you see the connection between, what they do professionally and who they are. And you see the dynamic between them, which you've really never seen before. Like how they really feel about each other face to face, saying what they feel about, when this happened and you did that and you went that way. It'd be like having Simon and Garfunkel, like a face-to-face sort of sit-down and saying, let's hash this shit out.
Now you're telling me something that interests me even more.
But I would, if I had one criticism of it, there's not enough animosity between them. They love each other.
Well, but that's good.
I know, but it's like just when you think like they're gonna get into something really like nasty, they never had anything nasty. But so it's like it's not a teaser. It's just like, is there enough for this here, and there is. I'm just saying, like, but it's really entertaining to see them talking to each other today about who they've been, who they are, and who they were. You would really appreciate it. You would appreciate that more than because then they go back. But another cool thing they do is anytime they're talking about somebody from their past, if they're alive, they magically show up in the back seat of the car, out of nowhere. Even if it's for a 10-second cameo, just to say, here's my part of the story, and it's just funny like that. You never know who's going to show up, and it's really cute. It's a nice idea. I think for some reason it's only in the theaters. I figured this one. I'm surprised they put it in the theater because I don't know anybody else who would go see it. But I'm surprised it's not on streaming. But as soon as it is, I would heavily recommend it.
Did anyone else? Was there anyone else in the theater when you went to see it?
Just myself and my cousin Alex.
Oh boy, good, yeah. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, Groo.
What are you watching? Anything?
I've watched
what
so
crime,
it's been so
true
long.
crime, death and destruction thing are you into this week? Sadomasochist.
No, I'll give you one watch and I'll give you one listen.
Okay.
The watch will be Vice Television. They have a show. I was going through the Dark Side franchise. I was catching up on Dark Side of the Ring. I was catching up on Dark Side of the Cage, the MMA version, and they have a show called The Grudge. And it's the greatest sports rivalries of all time.
Ooh.
And it's like Shaq versus Kobe. They have Mike Piazza versus not Magic Bird on
Piazza
season 1.
Clemens.
Piazza Clemens.
Nice. Tyson Holyfield.
No, they had the last one I watched was Donovan McNabb and T.O. That's the one I wanted to watch from the Eagles. And it's your basic Vice kind of setup with the when they have the actors play and they have the talking heads, but it's just something different. Yeah. And the talking heads are they have some real sports journalists, and then they have a couple of ex-athletes. And the Shaq Kobe one, obviously, that's a legendary rivalry. And 45 minutes goes by. Interesting stuff if you're a sports fan. Interesting stuff if you're a pop culture fan. Vice, they do it well. I don't know why. I enjoy.
Yeah.
I enjoy even when they do the characterizations with the actors and the faded sort of background. I enjoy all that stuff the way they do it, and I enjoy the Dark Side franchise. And if you had 45 minutes to kill and wanted to watch something fun, Dark Side, The Grudge, it goes down.
I'm
easy.
into that stuff, so I will take a look at that. Yeah.
The other thing, I won't get very, very deep, but I was listening to. Jeremy Renner, the actor, was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And, Jeremy Renner had broken 35 bones in his body. He had that terrible accident.
Yeah, but he's Hawkeye, so he should be fine.
Well, but he talked about how the accident, his recovery. I mean, this guy was really in bad, bad shape. And I just was very interested in hearing his recovery, how it changed his life, how it changed his philosophy on life. And yes, you can look at it skeptically and say he's a millionaire and he was able to get himself the greatest this and the greatest that and probably around-the-clock care. But you still got to put in the work. And I just found myself very interested. Rogan's a very inquisitive approach. But this is a guy, 35. I mean, his teeth, his whole jaw was pushed over, he said. And he was in a lot of pain and a lot of agony, and just found it interesting his journey to health. And he's back. He's on the Mayor of Kingstown, which I did like on Paramount Plus. I'm not going to rep that show, but interesting listen on terrible accident and recovery. Jeremy Renner.
Well, the good, look, you can look at it cynically, and sometimes we do, but at the same time, when you have a voice that can be. If there's one person who hears that story out there who's able to get up off their ass and walk because of that, then it's worth it to put it out there. So, if you have a voice and use it wisely, I would say good. So for a guy like Renner to go on a Joe Rogan thing where millions and millions and millions of people are going to hear him tell that harrowing story and how you could come back from that kind of shit, that's a good thing. Not writing a fucking book about how my husband Arnold Schwarzenegger cheated on me, and now I'm writing poetry to exercise my demons at your expense. Meanwhile, Jeremy Renner is on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is fucking free. and he's sitting there telling what people really need to hear. So I'm all in on that one. Good for you.
He's also very big with foster care charities because his sister works for
Fuck that.
DCS.
I don't give a shit about foster kids. I want to hear about Hawkeye. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But that's
I thought
good.
that was kind of nice.
Yeah, but you know what? That's, to me, even though, like, listen, you obviously know I probably am critical of some of the people that go on Rogan's thing, but his podcast is so powerful because he's got so many people from so many different kinds of demographics listening. So when you can do something positive like that, I love it. For nothing in return other than listens. What does Renner get out of that? Nothing. He's not even promoting Mayor of Kingstown. It's over, isn't it? He's just telling his story. I respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely very, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Good.
So,
I want to hear it now. I want to hear it.
All right, listen, Andrew, when we get back to Van Damme, we're going to move ahead to 1998. Jean-Claude is back this time, teaming up with SNL funny man and action sidekick Rob Schneider for Knockoff. What happens when a fashion designer joins forces with a CIA agent to combat terrorism? It's JCVD Gold. Groo? Knockoff?
Good Lord.
I know. I know.
Actually, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this because as much as
Rob Schneider was the king of action bad comedy.
Oh my! I am not ashamed to say that I went to see The Hot Chick in the theater. I went to see Deuce Bigalow 1 and 2 in the theater.
Definitely saw 1 in the theater for sure.
I think I skipped the one he did like the weigh-ins thing, or he did he played like a baby or something. I don't know. There was one that he did that I skipped, but I don't know. For some reason, sometimes you love to go and hate something. It's fun. I actually can't wait to see what they do here. I've never even heard of this until just now.
Yeah, his delivery with the seashells in Demolition Man, and then some of his stuff even in Judge.
I love them in Judge. I am the law. I love that. That was great. That was hilarious. I think he's a fucking weirdo, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll have to find where this is, and but anyway, that's what's next up on their Knockoff.
And go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I think we are making an appearance, I believe, on.
Well, for our next episode of Nothing Worthwhile, hopefully, gosh, everything's falling apart at the seams, but nonetheless, we're going to be live from Tampa Bay. It's an Evan Moody bucket list concert, and it's Andrew Gruthius's, my best man's 50th birthday celebration. We're going to be live in Tampa Bay for AC/DC. I caught a little of a show on Andrew's YouTube from Pittsburgh. I watched the first 3 songs as I was lifting helium balloons this morning. Very, as Rodney said, I started working out, helium balloons. But anyway, it's AC/DC. My God, they might be 80 years young. But anyway,
does that look
it's
awesome?
One of my favorite.
Did you? You watched. Does that look fucking awesome?
It does look great. And I love Tampa. I love the west coast of Florida, and we're there for Andrew's 50th birthday. Who knows what hijinks we'll get into?
Oh boy!
Will we drink with Ric Flair? Will we go to Hogan's? Will Moody end up?
We actually do have reservations at Hogan's Hangout.
All right, good.
We do.
Okay. We allowed to say that? I mean, in this politically incorrect climate, are we allowed to say that we're going to?
It's a free fucking country. If I want to drink real American beer, I'm going to drink it. I don't have to like the guy who brews it, but I can drink the beer.
I didn't mind it. I did not mind it. It's
was fine.
Not any better,
it was
but it's
fine.
not any worse.
Gave a nice little buzz for WWE World.
All right, so I got my itinerary right here. Andrew, 50th birthday, Tampa, AC/DC.
Can't wait. I love that listen, this last Mania trip, even though we didn't actually go to Mania, ironically, to me, was our best one. I think
it was fun.
Looking back on it, there was never a stretch of time where we were looking for something to do. We were always occupied. We had great meals. We had just a really enjoyable time, and parlaying that into another 4-day adventure in Tampa. We're gonna try an Airbnb for the first time. I'm getting Barbarian vibes in my head right now, or whatever that movie's called. But it'll be interesting. So we're gonna be doing that. And I believe we're going to appear on the Last of the Action Heroes, the Rocky 5 podcast, one more round, I believe.
Double podcasting.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Next week on Sunday, I believe. We'll get back to you on that. But it's always fun. I love talking about that crappy movie so much, and Evan loves making fun of me talking about that crappy movie so much. So we're going to be hopefully doing that. And yeah, definitely. But listen, you and me for 4 days, whatever we do, wherever we go, it's always an adventure. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's right.
As always, yes.
All right, Andrew, take us out of here.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on this episode of Van Damme It for the Last of the Action podcast, Heroes Universe, brought to you by Nothing Worthwhile and New You Life Center, located in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Next week, we'll be live from Tampa in person, bringing our mobile studio to just around the corner from Raymond J. Stadium for AC/DC and other hijinks in Tampa with Mr. Moody and myself. We are ending this school year with a banger, and you can't stop us because we can. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us once again, and we'll see you next time. And until then, from Van Damme It to you, no retreat,
no surrender. What a professional read by Andy to close it out. That was good.
Quack, quack. Wasn't even reading either.
Right. Yeah, good.
All right, Robin. Very good. Later.